Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Movie Fellas Deep Dive Podcast. Nick, do you notice anything different about this week's episode?
No, I still hear my voice. You know, I still got the beard that no one can see. Excuse you.
You know, are you noticing that camera in front of you?
I want to know how you put that. How'd you get that here?
It was late night, 3 a.m. in the morning. Involved some rope, and some Twizzlers, peanut M&Ms, and a flashlight. All to make this happen. A lot of work, as I'm saying.
So the Twizzlers and the peanut M&Ms was the sugar you needed, so that way you had something to expend as you're using the rope to grapple hook up to my balcony to get inside my apartment. Is what you're saying?
That's exactly right. Yeah, that was pretty good. I left the clues there. Yeah, the peanut M&Ms were just because I'd missed lunch, so I was hungry. So it's like I'm not gonna, break in and do all this stuff on an empty stomach. So yeah. Look, since certain sacrifices have to be made in order to get us on video on screen, and that was one of those things: breaking, entering, committing crimes. Sacrificing.
But why did you do it to my apartment instead of just handing me the camera?
I mean, listen, now that you bring that up, that seems to make sense too. But
I literally saw you last week.
Sometimes doing things the hard way makes sense too. So I mean,
okay, Keenan.
Huh? Is that a Keenan and Kel reference?
Yes. You already started it by saying like 4 random things that do not go together.
Well, I should have brought some orange soda then last night too.
Oh man, I love some orange soda.
Overrated.
Hey, go fuck yourself. Okay.
Mediocre. It has nothing on root beer. What do you think about that? Root beer over orange soda. What you got to say about that?
I got to say, you're fired.
What? Jeez. Better get some a severance package, buddy. Including a lot of root beer in my severance, all right?
I mean, go ahead and give yourself the severance package. It's your channel.
Yeah, I will do that.
I guess it's mine now. You're fired.
Yeah, if I'm fired, I mean, I gotta cede over all the rights to you here. So, well, folks, as you can see, we're finally on screen. I know that I've been talking about this for a long time, but it's nice to finally do it. Here we are at the end of Vampire Month. It's been a great, fantastic month, a month in which I've avoided garlic at all costs. I've avoided sunlight because sunlight always kills every vampire, every movie we watch until today.
But here's the question. You said you avoided garlic.
Yeah.
Are you saying you never had a pizza this whole month?
I mean, and that's neither here nor there. It doesn't necessarily mean that you don't have to sprinkle garlic on the crust. That's not the point.
It's usually not on just the crust. Trust me.
All right, so I failed Vampire Month completely. I've been in the sunlight. I've had garlic. I didn't drink any holy water, at least, so unless my Aquafina was somehow holy.
No, the closest thing you're getting to holy water without going to a church is drink out of a zero water.
Ah. Yeah, I'm in no danger of that, so. Well, it's the end of Vampire Month, which means our most requested vampire movie of the month is here today to be reviewed. That is The Lost Boys, which won our poll in dramatic fashion, beating out everybody. Because Lost Boys, as we know, is pretty much considered a horror classic within the horror community. Much talked about on Facebook, Reddit. Every horror social media talks about Lost Boys all the time. So you can't have Vampire Month without it. And probably also we needed to do Vampires from John Carpenter as well. No, well, actually we didn't, but Nick had brought that up and wanted to do it. So that was the whole genesis of all this. So what do you think about that, Nick? You brought John Carpenter's vampires into our lives this month.
Yes, I did. All for one scene, nonetheless.
Why? Why do you do this? Why?
Because when I last watched John Carpenter's Vampires, I was young, stupid, and foolish. Now I'm just stupid. But
Yeah.
I could have sworn I remember that movie actually being good.
That
All
was
for one scene.
by far the most disappointing thing about Vampire Month was John Carpenter's Vampires, and I say this as the biggest John Carpenter fan there is. That movie was not good.
Sadly.
But every movie since then has been a solid vampire fare. We did Near Dark, From Dusk Till Dawn, Fright Night 2, which, as I said last week, if you haven't seen that, find it where you can find it. It's free on YouTube, actually.
Yep.
It's a very unheralded, unseen sequel that deserves to be seen. All props to Fright Night 2. But now we're finishing off with the main course. The main Lost Boys, which is the main course. It's the maggots and worms. Because who needs Chinese food when you can have maggots?
Yeah, I mean, rice already looks like little maggots. So,
look, I mean, everybody has their own. Food is subjective, taste is subjective. Some people like General Tso's. Some people get the beef and broccoli. I like the maggots lo mein. That's noodles with some maggots sprinkled in, and I think that's the way to go.
You're funny if you think that was noodles.
Oh, well, okay. Now, a fun fact on the set, it was actually, they had real maggots and worms. They had a worm handler. They had maggots handlers there to make that as real as possible. Today's world, that would be CGI, I'm guessing, but we had real maggots and worms on set.
Well, yeah, because to be honest, granted, none of the actors actually ate the maggots and worms, but name one actor these days who probably would have even attempted that scene with real maggots and worms.
Hey, listen, we don't know how committed Kiefer Sutherland and Jason Patric were. Maybe they did, out of morbid curiosity, partake in some of them maggots. Maybe it tasted good. Oh, okay, probably not that. I'm probably going too far with that.
Yeah, I mean, it would be extra protein at least.
It would hit their protein quota for sure.
And depending on the type of bug there is, they do have a green blood.
Huh. Gotcha. Now, Nick, do you remember the first time you ever saw Lost Boys?
Yes, actually. So I was about 8-ish years old. Me and my brothers were with my dad, and we watched John Carpenter's Vampires on TV.
How dare you mention that movie again on this podcast?
Fuck you. I'm telling the story here. I am doing it as I remember it.
There's only one good thing about that movie, and that's James Woods' sense of humor.
No, there's only one good thing about that movie, and I, technically can't say it on camera. Anyways.
Our family-friendly podcast, buddy.
I know, even though we're talking about horror movies and I curse like a sailor.
Talking about your thigh fetish. It's okay. It's all right.
I mean, to be fair.
Let's move on. Let's move on.
Anyway, to be fair, also, now that I remember, I should have thought, hey, John Carpenter's Vampire ain't that good, because both my brothers and my dad fell asleep during that movie. I was the only one who stayed up and watched it. And
that middle part is definitely a slog. So.
Yeah. And then I was wide awake, and all of a sudden Lost Boys came on. And ever since then, I watched that movie at least every 2 to 3 years of my life.
Oh, wow. So this is a staple for you in your life. Okay. So I have a whole different experience. For me, I watched the movies in bits and pieces. It was always on TV. I saw certain scenes stuck out of my mind. That scene on the bridge where they're hanging, I swear I saw that on TV like 55 times before I actually saw the full movie. And in fact, that scene still stands out to me as sort of the standout scene of the movie, actually, believe it or not. But that scene always stuck with me. I was like, what? I didn't even know it was a vampire movie first. I was like, what the hell? Why are they hanging there? Where'd they fall into? What? So that movie, that scene always stuck with me. But as an adult, I've seen the movie maybe once. So this is interesting to go back and to rewatch it now. It had been at least probably 5 years since I'd seen it. But being the horror movie aficionado, why can't I say that word?
Aficionado?
Aficionado.
Yes.
Aficiontoledo. Aficiontoledo? I can't say that word. I should probably just take that out the lexicon.
What is with you and words? You can't say labyrinth. Can't say aficionado.
I can say labyrinth. Labyrinth.
Labyrinth. Labyrinth.
Labernick. It's Nick in a lab, Labernick.
That is probably how I was born. So,
being a horror expertise, or with my horror expertise, I know that you can't talk about vampires without talking about Lost Boys. You can't not have seen this movie because it's considered such a big time classic in the horror community. So I was curious because I'll be honest, when I watched it like 5 years ago, I don't remember. And please don't impale me, don't hang me in the horror community. But
too late.
At the time, I wasn't that impressed by the Lost Boys. I had a similar experience to when I watched American Werewolf in London, and online you hear about that being a classic too. And I was like, maybe I just don't get it. So now with the critical eye of being somewhat of a movie reviewer, whatever me and Nick would label ourselves as, the Diet Pepsi, a quasi movie reviewer, whatever you want to call us.
Can we at least be Pepsi Zero? I don't want to be Diet. Diet is just die with a T.
We can be zero sugar reviewers. Yeah,
there we go.
That's fine. So going back and watching it now with the critical eye, with the mirror, with the no reflection in the mirror, it's very interesting to watch it. And I do have some new thoughts about the movie, and I'm interested to share those thoughts today. But first, I do want to go over some background real quick about the movie. The Lost Boys was originally thought of to be a little kid vampire movie.
Well, they already did something like that back in the 90s, early 2000s. It was called Little Vampire.
Little Vampire? I haven't seen that.
I have when I was younger. It was a long time ago. Family moves to, I believe it was Ireland. It could have been Scotland. Either way, it was a countryside. And little kid befriends a vampire.
Huh.
In which case, they go on an adventure to save the vampire's little sister, who is, yes, she's also a vampire.
More of a comedy? Drama?
Yeah, it's definitely a comedy. It's a kid's movie.
Okay.
There's no blood, there's no gore. I think there, if I'm not correct, I think there was a vampire dog.
Okay.
So
this was going to be little kid vampires taken on by Cub Scouts. Sounds pretty epic. Or not, but
kind of left a bad taste in my mouth just hearing you say that.
Just hearing the possibility of it. Well, Joel Schumacher, our director, and Richard Donner, the producer. Richard Donner, who directed the first Lethal Weapon movie.
Ooh.
So once they got hold of the script, they changed the script. They thought it'd be more appealing to up the age of the characters, which I think worked out very well. The movie was given a pretty good budget of $8 million. And the movie takes place in, we'll note the fictional city of Santa Carla, but it's actually Santa Cruz.
Makes sense.
Real place there in California. But Santa Cruz didn't really like in the movie, they call it the murder capital of the world.
Yes.
And at the time, Santa Cruz had actually gone through a period where it actually was the murder capital. So they're trying to get out of that. They don't want a movie shit like putting a spotlight on the negative history of the area. So calling it Santa Cruz wasn't going to work. So we got Santa Clara instead. Santa Carla. Clara. Clarified.
Carla. It's just the word car with a la at the end. Sing it.
Le Carla. Why do I add everything, put a French connotation on everything? I don't know.
I don't know, because you're probably French and we just don't know it.
Maybe. But there's a happy ending to this, because when the movie became very popular, Santa Cruz has now taken pride in it, and now to tourists they'll do like screenings and stuff of the movie every year to highlight. It is such a good highlight of the city, murder capital aside and being infested with vampires aside. The city has now accepted the movie, and it's in the city's history, the city's lore. So,
probably because the city sees the fun in it and just went, you know what, we can use this to make some money.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the Lost Boys starts off with. Oh well,
what's so lost about them?
They don't seem lost in the movie. They seem rather happy and satisfied with their life choices.
I know, right? I mean, who wouldn't want to live in a cave?
Yeah, who wouldn't want to be immortal and not be able to hang out during the daytime? They haven't discovered that suntan lotion yet that Deacon Frost has, so they're gonna have to wait for that
Or
invention, I guess.
and who wouldn't want to nom on pretty girls whenever they want?
And the girls have fun names like Star. That's definitely only a vampire girl would be named Star.
Yeah, let's face it, that's not her real name. That she just named herself Star when she started hanging out with this group.
She's one of the only ones in the movie who we actually don't see her in vampire form. Did you notice, like, we never really see her as a vampire in the movie? I know she is a vampire, but they don't put her in the makeup or anything.
So, to be honest, until we see the little kid go full vampire, I was going to say it's because she's never fed. But to our knowledge, a little kid is also never fed, and he went full vampire.
I was uncertain about her being a vampire. I know there's a scene where she jumps up into the window, basically.
Yep.
But I thought, hey, maybe she's wearing some Air Jordans. She got a running start. She jumped into the window, so that seemed possible for a human being to pull that off. Maybe not. So she actually originally, the character of Star, they wanted a blonde, short-haired woman who was not going to be a love interest, was just going to be a friend. And they had trouble finding the right actress for it. So Jason Patrick had already been cast as Michael. He had just done a movie with the actress who plays Star, so he recommended her. They brought her in, and they saw the chemistry she had with Jason Patrick, and they cast her. And then they turned her into a love interest afterwards. But originally, it was just going to be like a friendship type deal.
So I love how you bring up blonde with short hair. Where have we seen that before?
They came out the same year as Near Dark, but did they have the script of Near Dark when they were making this? I don't understand, because the movie it feels like it's taking so much from Near Dark, but I know that it's like Armageddon. This came out. Well, Near Dark came out in October, and this is July. So this came out 3 months before Near Dark.
Okay.
So there's no way it's directly ripping it off. It's just the stories are so similar. He gets brought into this world by the girl. He likes the girl. He's brought in the world. There's a vampire gang. There's there was no vampire hunters in Near Dark, I guess, per se, but
no,
very interesting.
Who's to say that Near Dark didn't somehow get the script? Because we don't know how long they've also been filming that movie.
Right.
Who says Near Dark didn't somehow get the script for, or even hear about Lost Boys when they were writing the script?
Maybe, I don't know, but usually I would think that the studio is kind of keep the scripts kind of like
hush hush
to avoid that kind of situation. But we've seen and there was a time where the movie Dante's Peak came out at the same time as the movie Volcano. 2 volcano movies at the same time, and then you had Armageddon and Deep Impact. So it does happen sometimes where you get 2 very similar movies coming out at the same time. Certainly this movie has comedy in it, which Near Dark was not aiming for comedy by any stretch. So they are different for sure.
Yeah.
And Lost Boys would make a lot more money. Lost Boys grossed $32 million on their $8 million budget. Near Dark didn't really make much money at all.
Gee, I wonder why. Is it because no one knew about it?
Maybe so. Near Dark was, even today, just feels like very well respected and well known in cult horror circles. And the director went on to be pretty famous, Catherine Bigelow, so that shed some spotlight on it to people go back and watch it. But certainly Lost Boys is way more well known to this day. So that's definitely true. Lost Boys does have a very interesting cast. You have Kiefer Sutherland.
Yep, he plays David.
You ever watch the show 24?
No.
I'm curious about it, but I haven't seen it.
I mean, with Kiefer Sutherland, I have seen the movie called Mirrors.
Huh.
He played the main character in that one.
I've seen him in Young Guns. I've seen him in a bunch of stuff, honestly. But usually he's almost typically more of a side character, I would say, in a lot of movies I've seen.
If I remember correctly, I could be thinking of Kevin Costner because for some unknown reason I somehow get those two mixed up. But I'm pretty
Really?
yeah, but for some reason I think he was the bad guy in the movie Pompeii with Kit Harington, but I also
Okay.
feel like that was Kevin Costner.
Ah, I don't know.
I don't either. Like I said, for some reason I have a bad tendency to mix them up. Even though another fun fact about moi is I've been wanting to say Michael Keaton for David for so fucking long.
Michael Keaton.
And it's because if I remember correctly, one of the times I watched this movie, I literally
Yeah.
watched Beetlejuice almost right after that, and I've
Ah,
always, and let's face it, Michael Keaton as Beetlejuice is one of the most memorable fucking things Michael Keaton's ever done.
that guy had a run. You think about Beetlejuice. He also played Batman, remember too. So he was the
Yeah,
original Batman. So Michael Keaton's a great actor. But yeah, Lost Boys. Nah.
I don't know why. It's just because I just could not think Kiefer Sutherland, but for some reason my mind just kept going, "Hey, are you sure it wasn't this guy?"
What do you know about Jason Patrick?
Nothing. He's in Lost Boys.
You know what else he's you know what else he's in, unfortunately?
What?
Speed 2 Cruise Control. One of the worst action sequels of all time.
Have I ever mentioned I've actually never seen Speed 2?
You never should watch Speed 2. It's that bad.
Oh damn.
I don't he's not bad in it, it's just a bad movie. It's just wow.
Isn't Sandra Bullock still in that one?
She
Or
is.
just her character? Okay.
She is, but and it's no fault of the actors, just it's a terrible script.
Okay.
So we also have Corey Feldman, Corey Haim,
Yep.
who together they got linked in the 80s in a very interesting way. They did a lot of movies together actually. After this is their first movie together, but then they were in like 3 other movies together. And that's how they sold the movies. It was like the gimmick of like the 2 Coreys together. So they had to run like 3, 4 movies together. So they're kind of linked together in the 80s.
Should I mention that Corey Feldman is actually in all 3 of the Lost Boys movies?
Not Bon Jovi.
Not Bon Jovi. And
listen, damn it, I want my horse sequels to have Bon Jovi in them. All right.
Too bad. You know why? Because he's not going to shoot you through the heart.
I like what you did there. So, well,
yeah, I know a little bit of Bon Jovi.
You can get shot through the heart, but it's too late because you already gave love a bad name. So
yeah, I know. That's why I'm married.
Is your wife there, like in the background somewhere?
No, she's actually at her parents doing some laundry.
Okay. You're about to get a stake through the heart, like right there on screen. Like, whoa, where'd that come from?
It wouldn't be a steak, trust me. She's Puerto Rican. She's got a little stabby around her neck.
Gotcha. So Corey Feldman's in the sequels.
Yes, he's in all 3. Corey Haim
playing the same character.
Yes.
Oh wow. Okay.
And Corey Haim is in the second one. He's not in the third. I think they actually changed the actors for the third movie.
Okay.
Because come to find out, the Tribe and the Thirst, which is Lost Boys 2 and 3, both came out the same year. So I'm assuming they were also both being filmed at the same time.
Yeah, the director, Joel Schumacher, he always wanted to do like a proper sequel, but they never wanted to use the story he wanted to do. So it never actually happened. They asked Kiefer Sutherland, I think within the last 10 years, they asked him like, hey, why aren't you in the Lost Boys sequels? And he said, basically, listen, the first Lost Boys is a big part of my career. It's a movie I love filming. And he straight up said, I'm not going to be like in a direct-to-video sequel, which doesn't have the original director, and like he just didn't want to do it. So Kiefer Sutherland was a big star, so I understand that he probably wanted to do. Well, the other thing is, right after this movie came out, within a year or two, the plans were to make a prequel, which would have followed David's character. And Kiefer Sutherland was young enough to where he could still do a prequel playing the character back then, because there's a lot you could do with the character going back in time and seeing maybe how he became a vampire, what he's been doing. But they ended up the movie got canceled. They ended up not doing it. But that would have been an interesting route to take also.
Be honest with you, I've never been a fan of prequels because we already know how the story eventually is going to end. We know he's going to be turned into a vampire if it's showing how he becomes that. we already know that eventually he's going to end up dying. Before he becomes an all powerful leader.
Yeah.
So that's why I don't care for prequels.
The problem with the prequel is you kind of know how the character story ultimately ends up, but you can do some interesting things with it. I mean, I would say I love Breaking Bad, but Better Call Saul was an amazing prequel of that. The Thing prequel, not great, but not bad, I don't think. I didn't hate the Thing prequel.
You're talking about the 2011 movie?
I didn't hate it. Oh, that was all right. I like
I've
that.
never watched
I like the
I
actor.
never want to watch that again.
It's like I said, I revisited it. It's really not that bad. I mean, it's not. You can't compare it to The Thing, which is like an all-time classic, but as a standalone on its own, it's okay.
Let's face it, you just like Mary Elizabeth Winstead.
I was gonna say I like the actress a lot. She's fantastic. She's kind of a scream queen. She's been
That Black
she's in,
Christmas, Final Destination 3.
yeah. Reminder: we're doing the Final Destination series all next month, which you haven't seen part 5 or 4.
4 or 5.
Okay, I'm excited to get your thoughts.
I mean,
then.
we'll skip part 4. It's fine.
Yeah, amazingly, the poll we did, part 5 is considered, at least amongst people online, we had almost 400 votes. Part 5 was the favorite. Very surprising.
Which is surprising to me because I would have assumed it would have been part 2. I feel like the formula for Death's designs and all that kind of gets perfected in part 2. And I know part 3 uses it, but is more, in a sense, it's still using the same formula as part 2 did.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I would have thought the first one or third one would have been the favorite. But
See,
I mean, who knows?
The third one, what I liked is they kind of give us a human villain after he allegedly escapes death himself.
Yeah.
But it's just been so long, I don't remember it.
Well, it's better because we don't want to give our thoughts away as we're reviewing the series next month, anyways. I can tell Nick about to go through each one, like 3 stars. Let's give the audience our reviews next month, but you haven't seen 4 and 5, which makes that very very interesting. I'm very curious to get your thoughts on it.
Right, we'll see.
So, what were we talking about before that?
I mean, we were just talking about Mary Elizabeth Winstead for some reason.
Yeah. Oh well, prequels. Yeah. So you're not excited about the Friday 13th prequel, Crystal Lake? We get to find out about Jason's mom and her affair with Crazy Ralph, and them opening up a Doom Donuts together, only to have it close down. No, I'm just freestyling. That would be a fun story, but
to be fair, I feel like it's more plausible for Crazy Ralph to be Jason's dad versus Roy. But
okay, yeah, and actually, special shout out to one of our subscribers who, on our theories of Friday 13th videos, which are in the archives, has gone through and been given some interesting theories. Shout out to her. There is one theory, very interesting, the idea that Roy could be Jason's father, which when I first heard it, I was like, what? No way. But the way she explained it, and I thought about it, I was like, it's possible. It could be the case. It's him or Crazy Ralph.
Well, how about we just get into this movie so we can get people what they've been wanting?
A review of Lost Boys. Okay.
I was going to say a bite out of the boys, but you do you, sir.
No, that's a better tagline, actually. That could be on a poster.
Bite of the boys. Bite out of the boys.
Well, I got a question for you, Nick.
What's that?
How come the carnival in this movie is so damn fantastic? All the carnivals I've been to are the ones that are like in the Walmart parking lot. Why is this carnival so amazing?
Because this carnival does not move. It is literally part of the boardwalk. It is the boardwalk. It is an attraction for this town.
The overhead shot at the beginning makes it look like Disney World. It's freaking huge.
Have you never been to a boardwalk before?
I guess not.
I mean, I've never been to California's boardwalk. To be fair, I've never been to New Jersey's boardwalk when I was in basic training. I just went and watched the Dark Knight Rises.
When I'm bored, I don't think to walk. I just go do something else. So there's no reason for it.
I know a lot of my shipmates went to the boardwalk and got some fried Oreos.
Wow, nice. Okay,
sounds nasty to me, but apparently a lot of people like it.
Fried Snickers is fantastic. I did try that. That was pretty good.
See, when I think of candy, I don't want it fried.
It's counterintuitive, but when you taste it, it's actually like, oh well, we'll have to try it sometime if there's ever a carnival in town again.
They're probably not going to have fried Oreos. They'll have cotton candy.
Probably not. Oh, well, there we go, cotton candy. So we get at the beginning, we get an introduction of our character, well, our vampire gang.
Right. The only one I know name wise is David and Star, but I don't think Star is even here yet.
There's David, there's Star. I got it here. There is also Paul, I believe.
Paul.
Yep.
So Paul survived being attacked by Jason just to get turned into a vampire.
Yes, we know what happened to Paul. There's Dwayne.
Dwayne the Rock Johnson?
Dwayne the Rock Johnson's here, baby.
Oh shit. Our main characters are screwed.
He's here to lay the smackdown. And then who's the guy? Which is I'm trying to think of the name of the one that's actually killed in the cave.
Anthony?
No, hold on, I'll find it.
Do 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 do.
I have to add this out, but let me see. Let me find it. Son of a.
So why Vic finds something? Jessica, how you doing today?
Marco.
Marco. Okay.
Marco. So we have Paul, Marco, and Dwayne.
So that's 3, and then David. So who's the 5th one? Because there was 5 of them, weren't there? Or was there only 4?
4.
Oh, okay. I don't know why I thought 5. Maybe because I'm adding Star to it.
So the interesting, fun thing I read too is that you know how they're on the carousel at the carnival at the beginning.
Yes, I still love carousels.
The order they're in on the carousel sitting,
it's the order they
foreshadowing the order they die in. Yeah. So that was a pretty cool thing to add in there.
I'm also slightly assuming it's the order they've also been turned into. The one in the back is newly turned, so he's kind of the runt of the litter.
Yeah, apparently Paul is the oh well, no, actually no. They said apparently Paul is the one that is the newest turn, so he's also the most emotional because he's the newest turned. Unfortunately for them, security doesn't like them.
No, but neither did that big guy who tried to fight David.
This is true.
Well, I mean, David was eyeing his girl.
Well, he's a vampire. He can do what he wants.
Well, he doesn't know that. Big dude doesn't know. It's like, oh, he has chosen her for his meal. You're screwed, lady.
Well, who's really screwed is the security guard because
the security
likely underpaid security guard after a long shift. Just wants to go home, maybe stop at Wendy's on the way home, get some nuggets, some honey mustard. But instead, he's lifted into the air and eviscerated.
So I just want to bring up something. This is why I leave my doors unlocked in my car. One, not many people this day and age knows how to drive a stick.
Yep.
And 2, so if I need to make a quick getaway, my door's already unlocked. I can just open it up and get right in.
Now, let's slow down and rewind that for a second. I'm trying to make sense of this. You're telling me you leave your car door unlocked?
Yes.
Not because you're not necessarily worried about somebody breaking into the car or going into the car because of the idea of if you're being chased, your door is already open and you can jump in and just drive away.
Yes.
This is how you can tell that we're true horror movie people. The fact that actually makes sense to me, ridiculous.
Well, the problem is you can't do it with your car because your car is able to easily be stolen because it's not a stick. A lot of people can easily take an automatic.
Yeah.
Unless you take your keys with you, so that way, at the very least, they have to hotwire it, which takes a few minutes.
It's an interesting idea. I can say that if I'm ever being chased by Ghostface, for example, and I'm running towards my car, it'd be mighty convenient if it's already open. I can just dive in. If I gotta but I do have the automatic lock thing. It's just about running and clicking it. So,
no.
Wow. Yeah, so Nick's car is definitely getting stolen someday. So.
Well, here's the other thing I do in my car. So that it definitely deterred people. I'm assuming in Wyoming is I make it look like I'm living in it.
Ah,
There's
okay.
literally pillows, blankets. There's clothes all over the back seat. There's fucking McDonald's and sheets, bags all in the front seat.
So the idea is that the carjacker gets in there, says, "Nope, I'm out of here."
Yeah, because either it smells or he's like, "Oh, I can't take someone's home."
It's like, so they drive away, and you're not like, so, "Give me back my car!" You're like, "Give me back my home! You're still in my house.
You're still in my house. Get back!" Yes.
I can't sleep without my pillows." Wow.
Well, I mean, who can really?
This was the sidebar conversation I didn't know I needed. Man, I feel great about this.
Feel better about your life now?
Nick's Nick's leaving his car open strategy. Amazing. Well, let's cut to our family characters who have moved into Santa Carla.
Yep. You got Michael, the older brother, Sam, the younger brother, whose mouth is always agape.
Indeed.
And Lucy, the mom.
Lucy, the mom, who's coming off a recent divorce and is going to be moving in with her father, as we
Grandpa.
know him basically as Grandpa. Now, he is her father, but then, of course, Grandpa to the kids.
Yes.
Well, they get to the new residence, and Sam's whole concern, and this is pretty realistic. This is how I feel too. Is
no TV.
Where's the TV? Is there a TV? Where's the TV?
Well, that's not their only concern. The other concern is, and this is kind of funny, in my opinion, because Sam says he does not read horror comics.
Right.
Yet he watches horror movies because he even mentions this house looks like it comes from Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah, and for someone his age to have seen Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I guess that's pretty normal. I started watching horror movies even younger than he was, I guess.
But yeah,
he is a fan.
He's just like, "Oh, I don't read horror comics." Like, boy, you just mentioned you like horror movies by referencing a movie that, I mean, let's face it, unless your parents got you to watch it, not many kids even think about watching Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Yeah.
I'm not a big comic book person, so I don't really know this to be the case, but are there a lot of horror comics? I would think like
yes,
superheroes and things like that, but there's a big horror comic market?
Oh yeah. I mean, Freddy has his own horror comic book whole story arcs.
Okay.
Jason has Freddy versus Jason versus Ash.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, fucking.
So it wasn't like
Trick or Treat has his own comics.
Okay, so it wasn't like just the availability of horror comics wasn't there. He just generally doesn't for some reason, or maybe he's lying to them. I don't know, but he's clear at the beginning he's not interested in vampire comics.
I would be interested in vampire comics.
Oh, me too. The grandfather is interested in dinosaurs.
Yeah, is it dinosaurs? Because he just looks like he likes taxidermy.
He does give some foreshadowing though, because they ask him about the area, and he does say there's some bad elements around here, but we're not going to get the big reveal yet about what he really means by that. Which is probably smart because it makes the ending a lot better.
Yeah, and he definitely is the type of person that is very watchful of everything.
The grandpa character is probably the most interesting character that we don't get to like learn more about. Talk about a prequel. The grandpa character in a prequel, that's something right there.
Yeah, now that's something I'd watch. We'd have to get someone younger to play him, but I'd definitely watch that one.
Just get Jason Patrick to play the younger version of his grandfather. You can pull it off.
Yeah.
Well, when I move to a new town, there's no television. What I do is I go to the local boardwalk to see what's going on. And what do we see? The most amazing live performance of all time.
I mean, it does look fun, especially when Michael sees a pretty girl.
Well, I want to take a moment to recognize Tim Conahow, I guess, he's the dude on stage singing. Actually, this is his song too, so he's actually performing his song.
Oh, nice.
He mentioned that they wanted to use the music and they brought him to the role, and wardrobe wise, they were like, do whatever you want. So his whole setup is he was like, I want to do something over the top and memorable. That's why he's got like chains, his shirt off. It's a pretty crazy look he has up there. And he's really going in on this performance. And that as a kid, that was another scene from the watching on TV that I always remember like this dude is like, this is like a crazy performance. But the town does love it.
So I just want to mention the score a little bit because as much as I do like the song, they play the same song 3 damn times.
Yeah.
At least you can play something different with the same kind of music tone that you want for the scenes.
So the song is called Cry Little Sister. What I would say is that the only reason I don't agree is because when I think about the movie, they did a good job. When I think about the movie, I really do think about that score. That score, like, really, like, maybe because they played so much, but you really, like, it's really synonymous. Like, you really think about it with the movie. So the way they do it, it does become, like, a memorable part of the movie that you really, like, think about going forward. So it left an impression for sure. I would say the movie soundtrack is fantastic. Everybody that loves the movie online, they always cite, too, like, the soundtrack is very memorable.
Well, the soundtrack and this, like I said, I like the song. Soundtrack is good. It's just I would have wanted maybe some more. Oh yeah, I just would have wanted some more. If you want to add actual songs to it, not just the 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, they do have an Aerosmith song later on when those random people are being attacked by the fire, the campfire.
So apparently they were classified as campfire Nazis.
So campfire Nazis, they went down to Aerosmith playing. So,
well, that's a sad way of remembering Aerosmith is with Nazis.
Yeah, I mean Aerosmith's an amazing old school band. So
I know, right?
Who didn't love Aerosmith from the Armageddon song? And I don't want to miss a thing. Okay, never again am I singing Aerosmith.
No, never. Never again shall you sing.
And even when I dream. Wow. I need some lemon open my throat. Some lemon and honey. But no, I think what you got? Cupcakes. How's that gonna help? How's that gonna help my throat? Give me a nice sugar rush.
Because it's made with buttercream instead of cream cheese icing, so it can kind of lubricate your throat as it goes down.
Interesting.
I said lubricant.
Well, let me leave those on the counter. What I want to do is like tonight, 3 o'clock in the morning, grabbing the rope, the flashlight. But this time I won't need the peanut M&Ms because I'll just have those cupcakes.
I'll be sure to leave some cookies and milk out for you.
Oh, good. Okay.
That way you can have some variety.
All right. Well, I guess I'm Santa. I'm Santa, so I don't know.
Well, make sure you bring my presents. I want a PS6.
A PS6?
It's not even out yet. I still want it.
How much that cost? $6,000?
It's probably going to be about $500, $600, unless scalpers get a hold of them again.
Now you have the PS5.
Yeah.
Are you really going to upgrade the PS6?
Do you feel probably not for a year after it comes out. Once they start making games only for the PS6, then I'll actually upgrade.
Are you going to get the, if it ever comes out, the Killer Clowns video game?
Probably not.
I'm so curious. Maybe I'll just buy it, bring it over to your place to play it, and then sell it. if it's not good, sell it.
I mean, it's going to be, the game's going to be exactly like the Friday the 13th game. It's going to be you either play as the killers or you play as a survivor and you got to try and survive or kill.
I didn't mind the Jason game, but I did feel like it could have been a lot more.
For me, there's no reason to do it with specific characters because you got Dead by Daylight already. That game is so massive right now. It's actually getting its own horror game with just a story. It's not even an actual survival game anymore. It's a story-based game. And I hear they're making a whole movie on it. Blumhouse is, so.
Yeah. That's so popular. That's going to be a big movie probably.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, but so for me, the score and the soundtrack are a big plus. It's very 80s, and one thing about the movie is like the movie definitely has that 80s feel for sure. I can imagine back then the movie came out, it was like the coolest thing in the world. So one thing, if you're not into the 80s sort of, I love the look of 80s movies, like how Fright Night 2 looked, how Fright Night looks, just that 80s cinematography for me, like just activates all the nostalgic bones in my body. Get a shiver, a good shiver though. Anyways,
Well, if you're watching a horror movie, it shouldn't be a good shiver.
that's true. It's a feel good shiver though with this movie. Well, let's talk about this random store owner guy who apparently has some kind of beef with our vampire gang.
So his name is Max. He really likes Lucy. And as for beef, I just don't know. Maybe he. Do you want to give the reveal now or wait till the end?
I mean, everybody's seen the movie. We know Max, probably short for Maximilian, which is also the name of the Eddie Murphy vampire character from Vampire Brooklyn.
Yeah, probably. But so Max
he's obviously he's our head vampire.
He's our head vampire, and his whole thing is he doesn't want his cover blown per se by being affiliated with David and the rest of the crew.
But at the beginning, just watching on the surface, we're thinking that this stupid gang is probably shoplifted from him or something. There's actual beef there. But then this will make sense later on. We find out he's a vampire.
Yeah, and there is a lot of things sprinkled out about him, with him throughout the movie. So it doesn't come to a complete out of nowhere shock.
He's a good red herring at first because they do immediately suspect him, but then they don't suspect him anymore. And then at the end, they're like, oh, so they do a good job with him of not making it too obvious. Like, it does seem like he's almost at one point being targeted by the vampire gang.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, let's get to Michael meeting. Well, Michael first sees the girl.
Yep.
Star.
Yeah.
And she immediately recognizes him.
Yes.
And
then he sees her with David.
And David seems like someone you don't want to mess with.
I mean, to be fair, I bet Michael could take him.
Human Michael versus vampire David, or just you're talking about if you're putting Jason Patrick next to Kiefer Sutherland, you're saying you think in a fight that Jason Patrick could hold his own.
Yeah.
Jason Patrick is a pretty big dude, I think. He looks like he's in shape.
Now, I just want to actually go back for 1 second, the store scene. And the little clue that's here with Max telling David and them, told you you're not supposed to be in here, is David looking at Lucy and then looking back at him with kind of an approving nod.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
vampires are always looking for their bride, their queen. So
yeah, which is what Max here is doing. And David looks like he's kind of giving him yeah, I can see it.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's going to change a lot of things because initially David, it's going to be revealed basically, I think, that David and his gang initially, I think, planned to at some point kill Michael. But you can kind of make sense about later on that they didn't really want to kill Michael because they want Michael to be part of the gang because the father's trying to win over the mom.
Father's trying to win over the mom, so Max is the one who's told him, don't kill him, turn him. Because Star does later explain to Michael that he was supposed to be her first kill.
Yeah. And David clearly doesn't really like Michael at the beginning. So you can buy that, hey, this is just someone for me to kill, but then the whole thing changes. Now, when David actually meets Star and they start talking, that's when we get our classic motorcycle on the beach scene.
That was a good looking scene with the music playing. That seemed pretty damn fun. I doubt any of the actors did the motorcycle stunt themselves.
So it actually was very dangerous because obviously you're
on sand for one.
On sand. So it's hard to pull off. It was mostly stunt people, but Jason Patrick did a little bit of it and ended up breaking his wrist. Ooh. So for the second half of the movie, he's wearing a wrap around his wrist to cover up the injury. So he did get injured doing it. But this part of the movie is probably my favorite. The initial thing about this scene with them on the beach, the motorcycle, and then when we go back to their lair, well, first of all, also Michael almost flying off the cliff on the motorcycle was a good way
and Michael challenging David to a one-on-one fight.
Yeah. That, and then them going back to the cave where being the good host that David is, he's going to offer Michael a bite of the dinner they've ordered.
Chinese food.
Chinese food. And
who's delivering Chinese to an abandoned hotel that was built in a cave?
I would look at the boss and be like, abandoned cave.
I ain't doing it. Right. It's like, you can do it.
Because what kind of tip did the guy get? He probably got his throat slashed or something. Like, come on.
No, you know what? Whoever answered that. I mean, I'm assuming, to be honest with you, is it wasn't actually delivered. I think they just had it like in the back.
Yeah, nobody delivered. No one's delivered it to a damn cave. There's no way.
But then again, it is California. The rent and all the cost of living there is so high, even back then, that people always needed the extra cash.
True that. Now, let me ask you a question.
Death.
David shows the ability here to, I think we talked about this earlier a little bit, he can make characters see what he wants them to see.
Yeah, he seems to distort. At first I said distort reality, but then I was thinking, no, I think it's more he's messing with your mind in some form.
At no point does the Chinese food actually turn into maggots and worms. He's just making Michael see that, but they are the whole time still just the noodles.
Yeah, because when he ate the rice, I'm assuming if it was maggots, Michael would feel that.
Yeah.
But it wasn't until David asked him, how are the maggots, is when the box turned into maggots. And when he dropped it, it was back to being rice.
Yeah. So it's all just basically tricking the mind into seeing what he wants you to see.
And the thing is, I'm just wondering if that's why Max is having him as his secondary leaders. Because let's face it, David seems to be the only one that can do that power.
Yeah, I would say one flaw is that the other vampires in the gang are pretty underdeveloped. They're really like nothing burgers. Like Near Dark, you had all the vampires in the gang had personality. They all had their specific thing. This one, Kiefer Sutherland, David does get a decent amount of focus, but the rest of the gang doesn't really get their personalities developed. I know there's a lot of characters in the movie, so it's hard to divide the time up. It's only a 97-minute movie. It's not a long movie by any stretch. But I would have liked to see a little bit more from the side vampire characters.
Yes, something to show us maybe they had a similar type power. Maybe they had their own type of power. Anything
to make them just not like just lackeys. They're sort of generic henchmen at this point in the movie. But the key thing is when you have Chinese food, you need something to hydrate and wash it down with.
In this case,
nothing better.
Red wine.
Red wine. What is it? Red wine or is it? Blood.
To be fair, it's probably Kool-Aid in real life. Because let's face it, blood is definitely thicker than that drink.
Yeah. That was definitely seemed more like wine or Kool-Aid because you would expect like some thickness, but it seemed like not at all. The interesting thing is that, most vampire movies we know, most vampire lore, of course, you have the idea that you have to bite a vampire, you have to bite a human to turn them into a vampire.
Yes.
So we get our first sort of subversion of that, basically with David just has to, or Michael just has to drink the blood or the red wine or Kool-Aid, and now he's
turned
a vampire in training.
That, and I'm assuming the next scene also helped.
Oh, the bridge.
Yeah, so after he drinks the Kool-Aid, they have a party. He goes to a bridge to have fun, and I'm assuming when he drops from that bridge is what actually killed him and kind of cemented the turn into vampire.
It was definitely, there was some kind of initiation thing with that. And it was almost like they needed him to voluntarily accept it or something. Because they need him to let go. And him letting go is a big metaphor for him letting go of his human side.
But he didn't technically let go. He slipped.
True. The rest of them just let go. You're right. He slipped, but he also put himself in that position by just going down there with them and hanging off the thing. But that scene still sticks out to me. If because that scene's more of a suspenseful, almost creepy tone, and it's like it's setting up like I would have liked the movie to continue in that direction, like a mysterious, suspenseful kind of creepy tone, and then it's kind of like the last scene that has that kind of feel to it. I feel like, but this whole thing, like from the motorcycle on the beach thing to this, was probably my favorite stretch in the movie, to be honest. Once he's
I,
already like turning to a vampire, I feel like it becomes more not generic, but more
comedical.
predictable guy turning into a vampire storyline. Whereas this first part felt kind of all unpredictable.
It also helps that we get the music that everyone knows and loves for this movie.
Of course, Nick's at that. I know you're at that point, like again, but coming all throughout the movie.
I'm gonna be fair. When they use the music, it does work in the scenes they use it in. It's just give me something new at least.
I love it. After the movie is over, I went on YouTube and I was like, I just listened to the whole song again. I was like, damn right.
I mean, the song's on my Spotify list now. Don't get me twisted, but
all right, we should address
the Frog Brothers.
The Frog Brothers, and the whole. I mean, this is like where the movie is thought of as a horror comedy, and that's really because of the Frog Brothers.
Yeah.
Now, they're comic book employees, shop employees, who immediately warn Sam about there being vampires there. They put him onto a vampire comic, which Sam takes home and reads, and eventually it'll actually come in handy. But they're being over the top, like the way Corey Feldman's talking, the voice he's using. It's serious, but he's clearly, I think, trying to be funny with the voice.
So
for comedy, I think.
So me personally, I think I've mentioned this plenty of times. I prefer serious horror. So if they honestly played this straight instead of seeming like these two are just stoners who you don't know if you can trust or not, I feel like would have been. Sure, Sam still wouldn't have believed him for a little bit until about the halfway point of the movie. But at least then the movie still would have kept the same tone, and the same tone that we got with that bridge that you like so much probably would have stayed throughout the entire movie.
So I agree. There's a conflicting tone in this movie where sometimes you do bring in the comedic element, sometimes you have the serious element. But I mean, I watched the movie twice this week, and on the second time I was looking at the tone, I was like, okay, I guess though the comedy part of it is what makes it stand out though, to where people find it to be such like a classic rewatchable thing, is because you do have those light, more comedic moments. And the Frog Brothers being so over the top, it makes the movie campy, but I think overall it works because it's not overexposed. They are used in moderation. I feel like they're not like overly. You don't get so much of them to where it becomes like, oh my god, this is too farcical. So they're used just the right amount to where I think that they never get annoying to me, and it does add. If you're gonna have a comedic element, I think they do a good job with it. They have a lot of their dialogue, a lot of their lines are pretty funny. But it's just funny. This whole town knows about vampires, though. It's an open secret. Like everybody knows about it, which is pretty funny.
Now, can we address the fact that Sam is definitely too damn old to be babysat by his brother, and is too damn old to be sleeping with his mom?
What about that that random bubble bath he's taken too?
Is this kid supposed to be like 5 or 6? I mean, come on now. I mean, let's be fair. Bubble baths are soothing, but he's treating it like, like he's still a toddler almost.
You know, after the first Nightmare on Elm Street, I can't take a bubble bath. I keep expecting a damn claw to come out the bubble, so I can't do it. When he finds out that Michael's a vampire, one of the best lines in the movie is something like, "You're a blood-sucking vampire. Wait till mom finds out." Just hilarious that he's just thinking about like it goes back to the brother dynamic of I'm telling mom.
I mean, at least see that one's still kind of funny because as you brought up brother dynamic, he doesn't want to like kill his brother. He just wants his brother to be in trouble.
It's like I'm telling mom you're gonna get grounded. That was pretty funny. That was pretty funny.
Yeah, but it's still just Sam seems too old to be doing some of the stuff that he does in this little segment of this movie. It's just the segment. It's not even the whole movie he does this stuff in.
Well, the original script was like a younger character, so I wonder if they kept some of the stuff in and let his character do some of the things that the kids would have done, because that would make sense.
Well,
so once we get everybody on board, basically the Frog Brothers, along with Michael, and they're all set to pretty much take out the vampires. I guess one thing we should mention is that because they immediately think that that Max is a vampire.
That Max is the head vampire. That
we invite him to dinner,
which he is invited into the house. I want to bring that up because it plays differently in this movie compared to other vampire movies.
For the better, I would say, because again, it's giving us a unique changing of the vampire lore a little bit, because they invite him over to test him pretty much. They're going to give him garlic to see if that does anything to him.
I mean, to be fair, the mom is the one who invited him over as an apology for what happened with the dog, which that's another thing that as Sam is reading the comic, it mentions that vampires need hellhounds to protect them during the day. In which case it is this dog Thorn.
So they're not doing like the ghoul thing from Fright Night, because Fright Night has just the human ghoul.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're doing the dogs of hell.
Yeah, and this, which does attack Lucy.
Oh yeah. It's going for the kill.
Yeah, so at the very least, that's actually another clue, and it actually is one Sam picked up on, which makes Sam look even more likable and smart.
Absolutely. They're doing the smart thing, but the fact is the garlic doesn't hurt him.
The holy water didn't hurt him.
So I think Max is good. He's innocent. Well, from their perspective. Well, it was the red herring. It was the Billy Loomis getting taken to jail early in the movie, and he's in jail, so we no longer suspect him as the killer, even though he's the killer.
Yeah, because in this movie you find out vampires can enter your house without an invitation. They just are susceptible to any kind of, vampiric lore like holy water, even though we find out garlic isn't one of them in this movie. But
yeah, but it's good for them. It means they can actually eat pizza. So
yeah, but at least in this case, if you are invited, then you no longer have those abilities to be able to. You just have to go for the kill, or these vampires have all the power.
Yeah. Interesting thing. So the director said when he first screened the movie to the audience, he thought it interesting that at this point in the movie, based on what we've seen, and now that they were no longer suspecting Max as the vampire, a lot of people in the audience actually thought maybe the grandpa was the head vampire.
Huh.
Because the grandfather is kind of mysteriously in and out of the movie at the beginning.
He's really not seen during the day.
Yeah, he is, but that's a thing. But also just the fact that he always has like a date to go to or something. A lot of people thought that maybe there was something. Well, there's something going on with the grandpa, but a lot of people thought that maybe he was involved somehow. And then a lot of people also thought that maybe David was the head vampire. So,
I mean, to be fair, the movie is going to play off of David as the main vampire all from here till the end now.
And maybe David should have been the head vampire.
Well, he was. Let's be fair. He was the main villain because Max. I don't really put Max as the villain in this movie. He just wants a bride.
He wants a bride, and he's not like.
He's not hateable, really. He's actually a pretty liked character from what I've seen so far.
Well, he's one of those vampires that I think probably have been around a very long time. So he's beyond like typical vampire nonsense. He's just like a regular person-ish. Just he's already seen and done everything. So he's just trying to find his bride. But he's probably the most powerful vampire we can assume, as he's the head vampire. Well, so anyways, now they're going to go to the cave basically and try to. Well, they are going to actually, first of all, kidnap Star from the cave, and also
The little kid.
kill the kid and kill Marco.
Yes.
Poor Marco.
And they
But
all start screaming as Marco is like spewing goo all over Corey Feldman's face.
yeah, how vampires die and what they do when they die is very interesting. Sometimes they disintegrate, sometimes they explode,
Sometimes they
there's
implode.
implode, sometimes there's green goo.
Now, I just want to bring up something about this scene. I'm fine with the scene, and I know this scene is definitely for comedic purposes, but you're infiltrating a vampire lair. Stop yelling.
Right.
Stop making so much noise. They are yelling the entire time. Like, if these vampires heard you, you're dead. They can go out into their own cave during the day because there's not much sun going inside there.
Yeah, and luckily they barely get away from David
because they did find one little spot of sun.
Yeah, but the fact is now you've lured them, so it's like as soon as the sun comes down, they're coming for your ass. So
which is why we don't get a sun kill scene.
Thank goodness. There's one thing I can't stand. It's all these damn vampire movies ending with sunlight killing the main vampire. Probably something different. So let's get to our climax here. The end scene is basically they're back at the house. They know that Dave and the gang's on the way. They've sent Grandpa on an imaginary date to get him out of the house.
They go and steal a lot of holy water while there's a baptism going on.
Yeah. We get some fun stuff here. I thought the bathtub thing was fun because it was like the dude was like, garlic doesn't hurt me, but it's like the holy water does.
Right. It's like the holy water does, and then the dog Nanook just comes up and tackles them into it.
We get death by stereo.
Yeah, that guy became crispy
surround sound could be so deadly. Jeez.
Well, the funny thing is so you pretty much keep bringing this up every time there's a bow and arrow. He does miss the first one.
Yeah.
But then for some reason, this vampire's like, you miss. And Sam just pulls the string. I'm like, are you not going to move out of the way again? No? Okay.
Yeah, they really were just generic lackeys and henchmen. They weren't too smart.
And then David comes in for a fight with Michael,
which
seemed a little easy in my opinion. I know he's not the main vampire villain, but let's be fair, he was the villain of this movie.
They fly back and forth like about 3 times before David gets impaled on the antlers. It was kind of quick. Now, I did read that I guess in the comics and the plans for the sequel initially, that David's character, because he doesn't disintegrate or anything. So the idea is that he's actually still alive at the end. They were going to have one final scene at the end where they show him back at the cave. So some of this wasn't actually intended to be an actual death scene. The point of this movie was going to be to take out the head vampire, but David's still left for the sequel. So I think that's maybe why it was more like a Michael won this battle, but it wasn't like the end of David. So that's maybe why it seems kind of weak, because there was probably a bigger plan here to have David come back for revenge next time or something. So that's sort of not getting a sequel, not seeing the return of David. It does seem like a flat ending for his character.
It does, and I mean we do have sequels, but David is nowhere near it.
Well, Kiefer Sutherland was not going to do a damn direct-to-video sequel.
But then we
get the reveal, though.
Yep, yeah. Max really is a vampire. Oh, but you passed all our tests. Like, don't invite a vampire to your house. You give us power.
It's a nice addition to the lore. I don't think ever used again after this, but
nope.
Pretty smart. You invite them in. You forfeit their weaknesses when you invite them in. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. Granted, if you stake them, they still die, which is what Grandpa does.
Grandpa comes in there like a bat out of hell with some damn like, is he like the main vampire hunter in the town? I don't know. Like, does he actually go on dates or does he go like hunting vampires? I don't know.
I'm assuming he's the main vampire hunter because he comes in, he has you even see him making the post that he uses to kill Max with.
Yeah. Wow.
Also, I just want to say, with all intents and purposes, Max bit Lucy because notice how really close he got to her. His fangs were already in her neck by the time he got impaled.
Again, maybe setting up a sequel. Speaking of comedy, I mean, the last line from Grandpa is perfect. So the one thing I don't like about this place is damn
Fucking vampires.
That's
Showing-
a great way to end the movie.
Yep, and also that should have been the setup to the prequel of seeing Grandpa's adventures on vampire hunting.
And you could have still had David in that. Just like maybe they fight at the end or something, but
probably. I mean, again, for some reason I feel like David does not need a prequel. Because we know how his story ends. To be fair, we also know how the grandpa story ends, but then we could have also left in something about a vampire getting away.
Yeah.
You know, you can still have a grandpa fail in some of his events that you couldn't, that doesn't result in him dying.
I would still watch it though, because Kiefer Sutherland's portrayal is like, it's a strong portrayal, but the character's underdeveloped. So you kind of like to see more of him, get more background on him, but it just wasn't. There wasn't enough in this movie to like make him like, for me, like a super classic character. Like we both talked about, we both prefer Bill Paxton's character in Near Dark,
right? Because he was a fun villain, insane, and he just loved every second of it. David didn't seem like he liked it. He just did what he needed to survive.
He wasn't having as much fun as Bill Paxton. He was having fun, but not as much as Bill Paxton. That's for sure.
Right. I mean, granted, the only real extremely fun scene that shows Kiefer Sutherland's David liked being a vampire is when he killed the Nazi by biting the one dude square in the head and then scalped him. And the guy was bald.
Yeah. All right, so should we jump into our final thoughts?
I guess I'll go first. It was my movie. No, actually, it was both of our movies this time. So
I don't know. It was the audience's movie because they definitely.
Yeah, but we already had.
Yeah,
but we were already planning on doing it anyway.
Yeah, 100%. That's true.
All right. Well, whatever. I'll just go first. So, just because I'm the one that has the more nostalgia of it, I still, even though I just griped on it a little bit, there's still a lot of things to like about this movie. The score is amazing, which is funny because I griped on that. The acting is pretty good, minus Sam. Sam's the only actor I did not actually believe or like.
I like Sam, but you didn't like him?
No, I mean,
jeez.
All the other characters I actually, that we got to know, I actually liked. I believed them. Sam, maybe if Sam was played by a 5-year-old, I would have believed that most of it.
Okay.
The Frog Brothers have, I understand that it's a horror comedy. We need our comedic relief, and the main plot of the story does not give us any comedy. But without the Frog Brothers, there would be no comedy. But at the same time, there's just some parts where I feel like we honestly didn't need them. I also feel like you took them out and made it a straightforward vampire movie. Just have the two brothers going against the clan of vampires. Movie would have been no different. So overall, I'm giving this movie a 3. It is still a phenomenal vampire movie. You got a lot of good scenes, few throwaways, but what movie doesn't have those? And a really good score.
Yeah, I have to echo most of your thoughts there. Fantastic score. I liked all the acting, even Sam.
This is all I did the whole movie.
Yeah. Watching it twice this week. The first time I watched it, I was like, pretty good. The second time, I did start to appreciate some more things about it, and I found the movie to be pretty rewatchable. I'm okay with the comedy overall. I feel like it's uneven in some things, some scenes. You would have liked to see more of the suspense, the mystery part of it. But I think the Frog Brothers do give it more of a rewatchability, more of a fun feel than and for this kind of movie. I don't think it's trying to be that serious. So I respect that it's also going for the comedic part of it as well. So I'm going to go ahead and go with 3 stars as well. It's not my favorite vampire movie. I'll be honest, I do prefer Fright Night to this, but I can respect and understand why this is held in such high regard. And I do think I'll definitely revisit and rewatch it for sure. So yeah, just a fun vampire movie. It introduces some new things to the lore. It doesn't end with damn sunlight killing the head vampire, which is a big bonus in my end. And yeah, that kick-ass score, man. I just want to download the whole soundtrack. So well, I think
As
that pretty much
always,
does it for Vampire Month, Nick. It's over. It's all
right? So
gone.
now we
I
get
can
to
eat, I
find
can eat
out.
pizza. I can eat pizza again.
Good. Now, you know what else we get to find out? What does death have planned for us next month?
Oh God, no.
Oh God, yes.
I gotta watch my back with every single move could be an elaborate plan by death to take us out.
All the time.
So we're gonna get a lot of your Tony Todd next month.
You say that like it's a bad thing.
We'll let the audience decide. Everybody at home, if you enjoyed the episode, if you're not a subscriber, please subscribe to our channel. Leave us some comments. Let us know what you think of the Lost Boys. I'm sure we'll get mostly positive thoughts about Lost Boys. That is so highly respected. And yes, next month we're coming back with the Final Destination series. And then we'll kind of go from there. So
yep. And as always, y'all don't have to go home. Y'all do have to go ahead and make yourself your lunches for your work week or your lunches for your school week. You need to make sure you get some good Italian sausage, some chorizo, your sushi rice. Mix all that up to mix all that up to make yourself a good pork fried rice, and make sure you also make your own hot oils to mix into your pork